Slate one, go.
And they were thinking if it was like a...
Welcome to the episode, How Exposure Shapes Perspective. This episode is hosted by PRAKSIS Teen Advisory Board, also known as PTAB. My name is Molly, and I'm going to be hosting tonight. With us on stage, we have Malin Hüber, a film and culture producer that Rosa and Rue, two of our PTAB members, will be interviewing tonight.
This is the amazing Malin Hüber. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Malin. So nice to be here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to have you here. We are glad that you could make it to the talk show. So, who are you, Malin? Do you want to start off with that?
I'm a film producer. I started out in photography, producing still photography. And I ended up in film a little bit by mistake. Or I did photography for many years, and I got a bit tired, and I was like, what can I do that is sort of similar, but still telling a story? And someone introduced me to this film company, and I was like, wow, this is fun.
How do you navigate the power dynamics in the industry, especially when it comes to like ensuring marginalized communities and voices are heard in the projects that you produce?
When I was a kid, I grew up here in Sweden. I'm adopted. I was looking at shows on TV, and it was really simple. Like, no one looked like me. And then I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to make sure to bring in other perspectives and find ways of how can I do that both in front and behind the camera. So, like, which stories do we tell? I feel like I have a responsibility for choosing stories, or being very conscious of who is telling that specific story and how is it done.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have a manual for how to do it, but every project is a little different, and every time you learn something and you can take it with you and apply it to the next time.
Det å bare vise kunst, for han handler det om å må bevare historien. Kanskje det ble en dobbel her, særlig de historiene folk ofte glemmer eller overser. Jeg husker spesielt da han inviterte oss hjem til seg selv, hvor han oppbevarer arkivene sine.
Speaking of producing movies, why did you choose film as a medium?
I think what you can do with film, I think the honest answer is when I started, I thought you could do almost anything with film, and the more I work with it, I feel it's got its limitations. Like, there's only so much you can put in a film for it to be good, if you speak about a feature length, sort of. I think it's one of the popular medium that we use to look at the world, to understand the world, to look at each other, to understand each other. And it's so close to, what do you say, it's got this like very art house, but also popular media, or it's in the same world as this like reality or unscripted. You can also have the super auteur cinema. And I think I like that it's you have the extremes. And within that you can have so much fun.
Can you share an example of a time where you had to challenge a director's vision for the greater good of the project? And you don't need to get into specifics, obviously, but you can tell us a bit about the context if you want.
Just one time?
I mean, if there are several,
go
sure.
off.
Exactly, go off.
No, but I think directors have ideas of what they want to do, and I think it's like a constant conversation. It's like, just coaxing or asking a question, and maybe sometimes it's a hard question, sometimes it's an easy question. I think that's my job. I'm good at making other people better, or like making them go as far as they can with what they want to tell. And if it's, if you sometimes it's also leaving someone alone for them to think. It's like every process is a bit different. There's like not one answer, but I think for me as a producer is to be present and engaged and listen. And then by doing so, you can find out where it's like, oh, but we can go a little bit further here, or maybe you're not finishing the thought here, or did you really think,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So just like pushing a bit of the boundaries of what it could be.
Yeah, or just making sure that people go to the end of finish a sentence or finish a thought process and not just, because it's really tough to make films.
Speaking of challenging directors and being amazing at being a producer, you own your own company. It's called Her Films. When and why did you start this company?
So it was 9 years ago now, I think. And I started it out with two of my colleagues, Ruth Reed and Hedvig Lundgren. And we did it because we got a bit tired of having to ask, like, I want to do this film, I believe in this director, I believe in this writer, in this story, to always have to go and ask for permission. If you work in somebody else's company, ultimately, people might choose, okay, maybe the stories I tell isn't the most economically legit. It might not be the ones you make the big bucks on. But I think for me, if I'm going to do this work, I have to feel that it's worth it, or that I can bring something. And it was also just the reason to have the company was to create space for ourselves to be able to decide what stories we wanted to make.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's really amazing that, you try to you try to present stories that people don't really hear about for, plural reasons. There is also a lot of racism in the film industry, and, the genders are still not equal. So I really want to thank you for having that as a focus, because it's so important, especially for this generation today, to feel seen, and we are not as silent as the generations before. And it's also because we have the opportunity, and that opportunity comes forth because of people like you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
That's all that we have time for today.
Yeah.
But let's continue this conversation some other time.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really nice having you here. Thank you.
Jeg vet ikke hvor vi endte opp med å utarbeide korttekst om alle verk.
Vi har jo, alle har drevet med det, så ikke bare oss. Alle lagde korte tekster om alle verkene.
Dere tenkte på den skikk der, at det en fin introduksjon til utstillingen.
Now our PTAB members are going to have a panel discussion. Welcome. As we all know, PRAKSIS and PRAKSIS Teen Advisory Board has used the last year working a lot with video and film as a medium. And considering the era, the period that we're living in, which is an increasingly visual world, this panel discussion is going to explore how exposure shapes perspective in the context of the impact of the visual media on our perception of reality. And this visual world, this digital age, is very much influenced by social media. And I have a question for you, Kendrick. What role would you say that social media plays in terms of shaping our perception of the world around us?
Oh, wow, Anina, that was a very hard question. I didn't expect it. But I think that the role of social media is very big because it's a global sensation right now. And it's a very helpful tool to democratize more of our society because in a higher level, and because social media provides platform to each individual that has a phone. And with that, a lot of people that has not been heard can use social media as their platform and voices for their opinions.
What limits would you say that social media has in terms of giving platforms?
Well, as everything good, there's always a negative side on that. I feel like social media has an algorithm that can cause radicalization.
Radicalization?
Yes, radicalization, because it can feed within our own views, and it can create a polarized society that becomes full of hate within that stereotypes that they have been feeding on their brain or on.
Creating a certain type of echo chamber.
Yes.
In a way, yeah. Do you have any examples of that?
Like, for example, Palestine and the Israel issues, and it can create a dangerous outcome to the Palestinian people by getting them hate. And there's a lot of people also that use the conflict as
A means to make money.
yes, an income.
Exploit
Yes,
them,
an
yeah.
income.
On the theme of Palestine, the genocide that is currently going on in Palestine is one of the most well-documented conflicts in the world. And I have a question for you, Leiba. How would you say that the imagery of the camera affects our understanding of the situation in Palestine?
I feel like because this conflict, or I wouldn't call it conflict, this genocide has been this well documented, it like helps the morale go up in a sense of like more people feel empathy towards the Palestinians. We see all the destruction the opposite side has caused, and like we just see the brutality of it.
It's a matter of representation.
Yes, and they can like show us what they're going through. And I feel like in many other conflicts, there hasn't been like an option where the people like could speak to the whole world.
And also the matter of agency in terms of having your own camera.
Yeah, like everyone can tell their own stories, and there are some that stepped up, like Bisan, who were like just young people like me and you, who are taking the role in telling this big story from their perspective and the perspective of the other youth and the children and the elderly of Gaza. And one of the things that I find so important is that I don't want like social media just to show numbers of the lives of these people, because often we see their last moments without like knowing who they were, and understanding that these are humans and not just people and not just numbers.
Yeah.
And we can become desensitized as well after seeing a lot of like brutal images all the time. We feel like it becomes like kind of normal.
Yeah.
But this is not normal. Nothing that's happening right now is normal.
PTAB actually recently curated an exhibition at the Nietzsche Center of Contemporary Art in Lillestrøm, Norway, which was part of the project working with film and video. And I was thinking about this in terms of its relation, film and video's relation to this exhibition. I was wondering, Linnea, if you could tell us a bit about the role of video and film in this exhibition.
Yeah. As you said, we have made an exhibition based on only video art with Palestinian artists. And with that, we had to think about where we're going to put the work and what sound was going to play in the room. And we chose Dalia Alkuri's work, Levitations. It's based in two sisters talking in a somatic therapy session, and we thought it fit just quite well because when you're standing outside of
In the exhibition room?
Yeah, in the exhibition room, you can't really understand it, and you don't have the whole experience. So it fit really well to be played out in the room. And the placing of the video work, we wanted it to be storytelling. So we chose the first work of Mona Hatoum, So Much I Want to Say. And we thought it fit so well and just perfect.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for helping me explore this very difficult relation of like representation of the world through visual images.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I just want to say that no one is free till everyone is free. So free Palestine, free Sudan, free Congo, and the world needs to be a place where everyone is free, so we all can be free.
Yes.
Yes. Da vi satt der, var det som om historien selv var til stede I rommet. Så nær og levende. That was so long.
This was an episode of the Future Futures talk show, a collaboration between the organizations Praxis, Publix, Index, and their youth boards. Thank you to the audience, and thank you for watching.
Ofte man ser levende flammer på museet.